A renowned APC politician and former anti-corruption commissioner, Ady Macauley, has expressed his disappointment and frustration following the cancellation of his highly anticipated public lecture at Njala University. The lecture, titled Fighting Corruption, the event was scheduled to take place on the 26th of November 2024 at the university's Bo campus, organized by the Njala University Students' Union. In a statement released after the cancellation, Macauley voiced concerns over what he believes to be politically motivated interference. However, Njala University in a press release said the cancellation was solely due to the failure to adhere to established protocols. Specifically, the students did not comply with the required processes and procedures for organizing such events. So this morning, lawyer Ady Macauley, of course, is all set on our Zoom to further discuss his concerns. Of course, how frustrated he is on the cancellation of his planned talks with students at Njala University.
And definitely we should also have online the professor,
Sure.
Ali Mohammed. He's also the Deputy Vice Chancellor of Njala campus, to join and be part of the conversation.
So let's start off with Ady Macauley. Good morning, Ady. Are you there?
Yes, I am here. Good morning.
Good morning. Suppose you've been listening, and from that intro, it's said that you were supposed to have a public lecture with students of Njala University, and it's said to have been cancelled. And you further went on to state that the cancellation is closely associated to what you termed political interference, or so to speak. First off, take us through the plan process itself. Was it confirmed that you were to engage students of Njala University in Bo? Was it firstly confirmed?
Let me just give you the background. The University of Pakeni, a few weeks ago, invited me, that is the political science department, invited me a few weeks ago to deliver a public lecture there on the nexus between democracy, the nexus between the rule of law, democracy, and development. So I went there and I delivered a lecture. And thereafter, I received an invitation from the Njala University Students' Union executive asking me if I could do a similar event with them. And I said, why not? And I chose the topic, the fight against corruption, my perspective and experience. It was basically an attempt to discuss corruption in a larger sense, and what I experienced, not only as a prosecutor, not only as the commissioner for the Anti-Corruption Commission for 2 years, but also as an anti-corruption academic. I did my master's in anti-corruption law, in anti-corruption. So I am quite vast in terms of academia and experience in the fight against corruption. So that was what I was seeking to impact on students. And let me just give you this.
Can you hear me?
When you look at the third generation of the National Anti-Corruption Strategy, it talks about externalizing the fight against corruption. What basically this means is that the fight against corruption is not only the duty and obligation of the Anti-Corruption Commission, but each and every citizen in the country, because no matter what the anti-corruption does, if the will and buy-in of the citizenry is not there, the fight against corruption will definitely fail. So what I did as an anti-corruption commissioner was to follow through on the programs which my predecessors have started. For example, we developed what we call integrity management committees in MDAs, including universities. And we went to schools and developed what we call integrity clubs. This is to make sure that we take the fight against corruption to the people and the communities. So it is not different from what I was seeking to do. And I believe that anyone that wants the fight against corruption to succeed in Sierra Leone should welcome it. Now, going to your question, you said if it was confirmed. I can tell you that when the student body told us that informed and invited me to speak, my team did ask each and every question that is necessary to ensure that such an occurrence like what has happened did not take place. And we are sure that, in fact, we saw letters, a letter between the student body and the administration. And in fact, you know, it is surprising that it was at the very last minute, few days to the event, that the college administration decided to come up and say, no, we are not going to allow this, given that there has been a very large billboard in the college campus for about 2 weeks, displayed there. In fact, there were plans that at the time of the lecture, between 11 and 2, there will not be classes because they want to encourage students to come and witness the lecture I was going to. It was going to be a discussion, not just I speaking, but also members of the audience would have the opportunity to ask questions and have an open debate about corruption in the country.
Ady Macauley, what gave you the feel that this was politically motivated?
As I said, it will not be unconnected with politics, and you know how politics, works in Sierra Leone, and certain voices are sought to be silenced. And basically, I believe my voice is one which probably was not welcomed by certain individuals in the political class, and they know my knowledge. I have an in-depth knowledge about corruption, and there's a lot I can say, and which I will continue to say.
If the invitation from the executive or the students' body.
Could you please repeat? I did not get that.
Sorry, I did not get that.
Yes, could you repeat the question again, please?
Okay, I'm trying to find out, did you receive the invitation from the executive or the students' body? From the university's executive, the administration, or the students' body?
My team did receive an invitation from them, and they showed us a letter which the students' body wrote to the administration of the university to inform them about my pending lecture, proposed lecture. So yes, we do.
From according to the release that was issued out by the university administration, they said several protocols were breached. Was it brought up to your notice as to the protocols that were breached that led to the cancellation of your planned talks with students of Njala University?
Not at all. There was no specificity. In fact, you can see from the release that I put out, what I said there is not different from what the university administration has said, that there were breaches of procedure and processes. But what they have not done is to tell us which procedure and processes that were not followed or breached. But again, let us just put this straight. Assuming without conceding that processes were not followed or were breached, the event was scheduled for the 25th. That was on Monday. And this issue started on Thursday. So if you think processes were breached or were not followed, is it not for you to say, okay, you've not followed through on this process, make sure you do A, Y, and Z. Then you come back, then we will follow through on the proposed lecture rather than just cancelling it outright. I mean, for me, that is unreasonable.
Now, Ady, you didn't get the chance to actually deliver your lecture, but let's say you now have 2 to 3 minutes to actually say what you wanted to say during that public lecture. What was it going to be on?
It was going to be on my experiences as an anti-corruption prosecutor and an anti-corruption fighter. You know, so basically, the fight against corruption in Sierra Leone has been viewed from different types of lenses. But for me, there has to be various strategies that have to be employed in the fight against corruption. Well, basically, there is nothing petty about petty corruption. You have to adopt the flies and tigers approach. For me, it's about focusing on systems and processes. And I was listening to your previous speaker when he was talking about procurement. And it is interesting to see that the fifth generation national anti-corruption strategy, which is being crafted and which is going to be brought into life at the end of this month, I believe, it's at the end at the start of next month, around the 9th, I believe, places emphasis in the fight against corruption in embracing technology. And I went to Georgia whilst I was a student in my master's class. We went to Georgia on a field trip, and it was interesting to see how procurement was being dealt with in Georgia. I mean, basically, it avoids human interface. There's what we call the National Procurement Dashboard. It's an IT system where each and every procurement in government institution is generated from. You go onto the system, you key in your bill, you submit all the documents, and in real time, citizens can go on that dashboard and look at each and every institution or business that is seeking a contract for services or goods from state institutions. And in that way, you will not have a manipulation of the process system. What the previous speaker is putting together is a very brilliant system as well, but he can go forward by bringing in technology and embracing technology to make sure that human interface in our procurements is completely cut out. And this is where my experience comes in with systems and processes. No matter what you do in any place, if you don't have systems and processes in place to prevent corruption, then there is no way you will win the fight against corruption, because by nature, human beings like to take risks, no matter what the consequences are. For example, in America, there is the death penalty for murder, but that did not stop people from committing murder. They still kill people, even though they know that if I am caught, I will be killed as well. But they will still kill. So the fact that you will arrest people, fine them or jail them will not stop them from getting involved in corruption. So for me, the best way is to engage in complete overhaul of our systems and processes, whereby there will be very little interface between the public and government officials. Don't forget, when you look at our corruption surveys, for example, the 2011 to 2012, 2013 and 2014 national corruption perception surveys, they tell you that 70% of our corruption problem has to do with petty corruption, where people go to government institutions, whether it is for the procurement of ID cards, whether it is for the procurement of passports, and several other government services. And the reason why corruption is so rife is because of the interface between the end users and the service providers. If we employ technology, then we will reduce corruption in this country.
How do you assess the fight against corruption in the country right now? Have we progressed or retrogressed since your tenure?
Well, it depends on what you are talking about. There are two ways of looking at the progress in the fight against corruption. A paper-based approach where you have people from America and other countries will sit down and say, well, corruption has improved in the country because of we've ticked this box or that box. Or you take an approach where you look at the facts on the ground. What are the facts on the ground? Are we improving in the fight against corruption? My answer is no, we've not improved in the fight against corruption. I am not one person that is fanciful of international indices to say, oh, this man that is sitting somewhere in Washington or in Germany is telling me that the fight against corruption is improving. When the Okada man, the Okada rider, the Keke rider, the traffic, the Poda driver, the the taxi drivers are still facing harassment from traffic police officers to pay daily booking fees. Will you tell that man that corruption has reduced when he has to be paying bribes to police officers every day? No. And, let's just take into perspective what has happened in the past 5 or 6 years. We have 49,000 bags of rice donated by China for the school feeding program. 49,000 bags of rice disappeared. And to this day, the anti-corruption has not been able to account for that particular investigation. What has happened, what hasn't happened. They went to court and suddenly they withdrew the case again. What has happened to this day, the ACC has not told us. Are you telling me that is an example of a success in the fight against corruption? We have allegations of corruption in the office of the First Lady. We have allegations of corruption in the office of the President, where there were rumors. Of course, they were not even rumors. The audit report did say that, in fact, there were fake receipts produced for expenses that involved the trip which the President embarked on to Lebanon. The ACC did nothing. In fact, when the issue of the corruption in the office of the First Lady came, the ACC brought in a historic perspective in the fight against corruption, that we are going to investigate corruption, the allegation on a historic basis. We'll go back to what the former First Lady was doing for us to be able to know what we're doing now. Don't go far off. Just recently, the clerk of parliament, Honorable Paran Tawali, obviously it was clear that he was involved in conflict of interest and also pure corruption, where his wife was receiving monies as a staff of parliament, where she's never done the halls of parliament to do any sort of work there. What did the ACC do? They said, we are referring this matter to the President for administrative action. Again, the Ministry of Finance and Accountant General Department scandal, where certain officials were caught siphoning billions of loans. What did the ACC do? We've recovered this amount of money. We are again referring it to the human resource management to take administrative action. The mandate of the ACC is to prosecute corruption where they see it. And it is unfortunate that people in high places are not being held accountable. We would rather see poor teachers being paraded under the cotton tree. And what has come out of that case, they've not told us up to this day. So if you are telling me what is my view in terms of the fight against corruption, I will tell you we've not improved at all. Factually, we've not improved.
These public lectures, is it an effort to actually rectify maybe potential gaps or missed opportunities during your time in office, or is it a continuation of maybe your legacy in the fight against corruption?
Well, it was basically seeking to remind people, because there is a lot of political propaganda going around that, Ady Macauley did nothing at the ACC, he never caught a fly. And I just don't want to get involved in arguing with people. My record is there to speak for me. As a prosecutor of about 5 or 6 years, I had almost 100% conviction rate, and I was one of the people dealing with high-profile corruption cases. Also, as commissioner of the ACC, just for 2 years, people sometimes don't realize that I am the commissioner of the ACC that has spent the shortest time, only 2 years, and people will talk as if he was there for donkey years and he did nothing. There was quite a lot as I did, and let me tell you about them. First is that within 6 months, I brought what they call the Pay No Bribe campaign. This was a platform that was not geared towards prosecution, but geared towards targeting public services, for example, education, and the police service, health, and water and energy. These are where corruption was rife. So what we did was to engage in what we call a non-prosecutorial system, where people will report corruption in various departments and agencies. And we drill down, we created an app where you will even identify the particular office and department of that office where the corruption that you encounter took place. This informs us in terms of crafting policies to deal with that particular unique corruption in that particular department or agency. And also, I brought in what we call the online asset declaration system. In just 2 years, the online asset declaration system is unique in the sense that we are no longer going to have thousands and thousands of asset declaration forms being brought to us, storing them. In terms of expenditure, I see the expenditure, and this is how I did it. We are spending quite a lot of money, in excess of 100 million leons, to print those forms. So if you don't have to receive physical forms, you have to go online now to fill out your asset declaration form. We've reduced expenditure for government. And also, when we are distributing these asset declaration forms to all regions in the country, we spend in excess of 200 to 300 million euros for our staff to go around the country to distribute these ones. And we spend the same amount of money for our staff to go around the country to actually retrieve these ones, these asset declaration forms. So if you are doing that online, we no longer take staff away from Freetown to go all over the country to do it. We save money. But more importantly,
I want to hold you there and still need to usher in Professor Aliu Mohammed Bao is the Deputy Vice Chancellor, Njala campus, Njala University Bo campus. Professor Bao, are you there? Good morning.
Yes, good morning, my brother. How are you?
We're doing fine, Professor. There are a lot of there have been a lot of allegations from the end of Ady Macauley, whom, according to him, had already organized an event to be hosted at Njala University in Bo on the request of the students' union body. But a release which was authored by you, from according to him, did cancel the planned event for, simply put, reasons which, from according to the release you issued, they failed to meet certain procedures and processes. What were these protocols and procedures that were breached that led to the cancellation of the event itself?
Thank you so very much, my brother, for having me. You know, I did listen to our learned senior colleague. First, let me make it very, very clear. The University of Njala is apolitical. So I want you to understand that. The institution is not political. It is a public institution that is supported by government. Individuals, yes, we can have individuals that are political, but as an institution, no. Then coming to the issue, we did mention in our press release that we are guided by relevant documents, which one is the Act of 2021, we have the ordinances and the university policies. And we have a policy on the code of conduct and others for students.
Okay.
And if you go to paragraph 3.26, which speaks about invitation to outside bodies or individual. So 3.261 said that the issue of individuals, invitation to other student bodies, individual or organization must first be approved by the registrar on the recommendation of the dean of students in consultation with the deputy vice chancellor. And in this case, what happened? The deputy vice chancellor, not the dean or the registrar, we are consulted on this invitation. What they did, they just wrote a letter to the administration inviting them to a public lecture, which is contrary to writing a letter seeking permission to host the program. That is it.
Whom were you expecting to seek the permission? Is it Ade or the students' body?
No, it is the student that invited him. Look, last year, the student on my own campus, because that campus at Bo is manned by Professors Mohammed Said Fofana. Last year, when the student wanted to bring Kaifala, they invited him, but they did the needful. They went through all of these processes. And we are not averse to having individuals and intellectuals like him. The only thing we are saying, go by the rules of the game. And the student did not go by the rules.
That is the first time the students have missed this particular
the public
step?
lecture was not cancelled because of any political issue, but it was cancelled because the students failed to follow the due process of the law. Period.
Is this the first time we're having an issue like this?
Yes, so we are also surprised because we don't know, maybe if our learned brother is going to this level, it implies that maybe he had an alternative rather than coming just to give a public lecture to our students and even us, the administrators.
And how will the university actually take steps to ensure that cancellation of future events like this do not happen?
Yeah, but
do you work hand in hand? Does the student union also know what protocols to follow?
They do know, because these students, they are guided and they are supervised and they have the relevant documents. Because like I'm saying, I'm not reading out of oblivion, but these are the policies we have in the university. If you come in as a new president and you don't know, it is always good to consult your predecessor, and that did not happen also. So we did not cancel, let me reiterate, because of any political reason, like our learned colleague is. But I have referred him, let him check.
Okay, say now that let's say now this floor is fixed. The students go back to the drawing board and seek approval from administration, whether the deputy vice chancellor or who is in charge of it, and want to still bring Ady Macauley. Is it something, if they play by the rules, would it be allowed?
It is doable. We have been doing it before. It is not only Ady Macauley that has come. Like I told you last year, we had a series of personalities that came, including Kaifala. We are not averse to all of these things because the students have to learn. They are not only going to learn in the classroom, but we also allow them to interact with the environment.
One will consider the act as one that do deprive students from the learning that you just spoke about. Taking into account corruption is one of the issues that have been trumpeted by the bill-led administration. This would have been an avenue to help the students understand the pervasive nature of corruption in country and certain strides that collectively all should take just to see the need to minimize same. Don't you think you've already deprived them of same?
No. These are our students, and they are here to learn, and they are here to adhere to the rule of the game. If we allow these students to go by their own way without following the due process of the law, what do you think will happen? We have told them, and they have the policies, they know what to do, and they have failed to do it. If they are still interested in bringing Ady Macauley to Njala University, let them follow the due process. You understand?
Is this a rule?
Like I just said, what I've read is in the policy of the university.
Is this a rule that is stricto sensu?
Well, you know, the law is the law, my brother. There is no other way. The law is the law. Njala University, for example, for you to be promoted to the next class, you must have 3.0. If you have 2.999, we will not change it to 3.0. You have to repeat. That is just the law. So we are saying that the students have not followed the due process of the law. They fail to adhere to the rules. That is just that. They know what to do. Maybe, I don't know, maybe our learned colleague over there had an ulterior motive. I don't know. I'm very sorry about it. It's just my own thinking. But I am saying he knows that he is a lawyer by profession. He knows the law is the law. So that is why we are saying, no, for us, we are guided and we are supervised. We have structures. And these structures are the structures that determine what we do and how we do it. You know, like today, we are having our Senate where we are going to approve all the results. If you don't take your result to the Senate, that students will not graduate. That is not the law. But not making it.
But it seems very clear that the reason for the cancellation of this gathering was not clearly spelled out in the press release you issued. Why was that the case?
No, but we told you in the press release, it is there. Just look at it, that the student did not follow the rules and regulation binding their conduct on campus.
That was just an envelope. That was just an envelope statement. the student did not follow the rules and regulations.
We are talking to a learned colleague that knows better than what we are talking about. He knows that every rule has to be followed. He knows that the law is just the law. You cannot change it in the middle of the game. If he's still interested, then let him encourage the student to do the needful. And they know the process. These are not year one students. These are final year students. They have been in the system for too long to know that these are the rules and regulations that they have to follow when they want to bring an individual or an organization or even their student colleagues to Njala for such programs.
As students who've been in Njala for 4 years will not have been oblivious of the rudiments in terms of invites of dignitaries. Perhaps this has been the modus operandi. That's more the reason why they did same.
No, it is not. That is not the modus operandi. It is not. They err in this one. They do not follow the rules and the regulation. That is just that. And that is the law. As I've read from the regulation, you have seen it. When you want, you have to seek permission. And the registrar have to issue out approval after consulting the dean of students and the deputy vice chancellor of that particular campus.
What is the relationship like with the administration and students? Because I take it that from the time that flyers were actually being put out, the administration was also aware that there's an intending public lecture that would be held in the university. What is the relationship like? Weren't the students then cautioned rather than wait a minute to the day before the public lecture had to be cancelled?
Yeah, like I told you, what the students did, we have very good working relationship. These are our students. Yeah, they are our students. We are not talking about an outside body. But they did not follow the rules and regulations.
When the administration noticed that the rules were not followed, it didn't just happen overnight. There were flyers out there as well to notify either the students or other members of the public who are willing to attend. Now, when it was realized that they had erred in not following the right procedures and getting the approval, why weren't they notified? So that if it was anything to have been rectified, they would have done that rather than a day to the lecture, so that this doesn't send any kind of, or cast aspersions.
You know what? Yes, the flyers were out. Yes, banners were out. But for us, we don't act that way. It was when they sent out invitation to the administration to witness a public lecture, then we had to react that no, you have not followed the rules and we cannot allow it to hold.
So if they had not sent an invitation to the administration, that means the public lecture would have been held, is it?
Not at all. We will not have allowed that to hold, because he was talking 11 to 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock. These are the time the students will be in their various classes. We are talking about a university, and you want to disrupt all of that without involving the administration. How will it look like? It is going to be chaotic. You understand? And we cannot determine what will have been the reaction of those other students that may have wished to attend their classes rather than attending a public lecture.
What would you also say that they were going to go ahead to organize a public lecture that the university would not have been aware of? Is that the case? Should they not have sent an invite to the administration?
They would not have known. Officially. We are talking about official issues here. You understand? They did not follow just that. As I said, the law is the law. I've just said the portion of communication to outside bodies or individuals.
Professor, your recent submission do paint a picture you had already set a trap. There was already a trap for Ady also to speak. It seemed Ady was to some extent right to say it was politically motivated to have cancelled his planned talks with students. From your response to my colleague.
Excuse me, my brother. If I didn't think that way, then his thinking is not correct. Yeah, it is not.
Because as a responsible body, haven't seen the flyer, it would have been prudent to come out quickly, respond in a way that will have befit the institution to say, okay, this is out, you've not reached out to us, it has been cancelled, other than waiting up until the 11th hour and cancel an event of such nature. Don't you think that's more reason why he thought it's politically motivated?
I think maybe, my brother, maybe Ady had an ulterior motive for coming to Njala for this public lecture. Other than that, he would have waited and advised the student to do the needful, rather than going public and making false allegation against the administration. It is totally wrong and it is totally unacceptable.
Ady Macauley, I believe Ady Macauley is still on our Zoom. Ady Macauley, are you there? Ady Macauley, are you there? So thank you so very much, Professor Ba. It's been a pleasure having you. On the line. He's the Deputy Vice Chancellor, Njala University, and he was speaking to us there from, I believe, from Boo. And earlier on, we had Ady Macauley, who of course, spoke lengthily as to how frustrated he is about the fact that the planned talks with students of Njala University was cancelled. But nonetheless, we've had a balanced conversation, had the side of the university and that of the aggrieved party, whom I believe is Ady in that case. But nonetheless, it's been a wonderful time here this morning. And this is where I believe we end to this edition of the Wake Up Salon program.